Never trust a financial advisor under 55. Yep, you heard me right. And while all the younger financial advisors go off and hit the caps key for their comments underneath this, let's have a chat about what I mean by that. It's provocative, but I think it's true. Because here's the thing, until you've actually lived life after 55 is an arbitrary date, but after that point roughly, you haven't really lived the aging process properly. And I speak as somebody who's well into that second area, and I'm amazed by what it looks like. People can't really advise you properly until they've got that level of perspective themselves. And I speak actually as an ex-financial advisor, and I was a pensions advisor when I was 32. So I know exactly of what I speak. At that age, it was such an abstract concept, the idea of a pension. 35 years later, for me, now I'm there and I can understand that I literally knew almost nothing about the reality of life at this age. And the point is that money, after you get into your 60s, is no longer about some of the key things which financial advisors are all about: accumulation, savings, investment and things like that. It moves into spending, disbursements, using your remaining years as well as you can given the pot you've got, and more importantly almost, the level of financial well-being plus your level of fitness and that great unknown, the time you've got left. The real risk you take isn't necessarily market volatility, it's actually life volatility nowadays. Yet younger financial advisors operate from time horizons which stretch in an abstract way into the future. The reality is the future for us is becoming today. Yes, we've still got maybe even a third of our lives left, but we're now into the real world and retirement just got real. Time becomes just about as important as money around the time that we are now in our 60s, because time is the balancing act that you have to take every time you make a decision. It's no longer about can we afford it, it's how long do we have left to enjoy it. Experience and surveys show that people often underspend in their later years. They go through life having been worried about one big question: will I run out of money in retirement? Which is absolutely valid, and we have to make sure that we know the answer to that, and we have to cut our cloth accordingly. But people tend to err on the side of caution, and a lot of people die with large amounts of money or savings in the bank still, which is a tragedy because all those lived experiences they could have had never got lived, and instead the money just goes down to the younger generation who can probably use it, but not in the way that we could have used it. So yeah, just returning to the younger financial advisors, I'm really not criticising these guys. They are doing the job as best they can with the information they've got. They basically can provide huge amounts of relevant information and can give you a really good picture of your financial future. However, what they can't do is overlay that with the level of lived experience that we all have. All of their information and their advice is good, but it's incomplete. And it's up to us to actually overlay that financial picture with the lived experience that we've got to make sure that we balance that whole finance and time equation properly. I remember my dad, who died a few years ago at the age of 94, always when talking about his life, he said, I want to, like many people do, he said, I want to die spending my last pound at the bar in the golf club. And to be fair to the guy, at 94, he died with £20,000 in his bank account and a small apartment, and he'd spent everything else. And I reckon that's about as close as you can get. That can contrast with other people who die with millions in the bank. and basically have lived in fear for the second half of their lives. That's possibly because the finances overtook the lived experience and the time aspect. They couldn't envisage a time when they wouldn't be here and didn't feel that urge to actually get the money spent and the life lived. So this brings to mind the obvious question: what does good advice look like when you're in life's second half or even life's final third? And I guess for me, it boils down to how much can I spend without running out of money, but also what would I regret not doing if I had my time over again, and can I do it now? So what I'm trying to do there is, assess the risk. I don't want to be penniless at the age of 85. But on the other hand, neither do I want to go into decisions only thinking about the finances. I want to be able to assess the risk, make the decisions based on lived experience. So the younger financial advisors have got their place, and in reality what I'm saying is make sure that the finances don't blind you to the reality of life after 60. And with a younger financial advisor, that overlay has to come from you when you reach our age. Final thing, I've got a book written about this, about how to make decisions in our 60s, and it's at my website life2h.com. By all means go and have a look at it. It's free to download. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video.